Just ahead on News 3 at 10, if you write a bad one or rip off a store, you may pay dearly in the future.
And Gary Dotson tasted freedom for a week, but he's back in jail tonight, and his friends and family vow to get him released again.
Plus, we'll have Buck highlights from Boston and a stormy weather forecast coming up next on News 3 at 10.
There are many people who make the news. There are only a few who break the news. Ted O'Connell, John Karcher, the team that consistently gets the inside story to you first. On News 3 at 6.
Entertainment 24 hours a day, only on Channel 3.
Good evening. Snow and Edwin have begun vacation. Topping our news tonight, bad check writers and shoplifters may think twice before committing a crime in the future if a proposal becomes law.
That's right, John. Those two crimes alone cost Wisconsin businesses almost $400 million every year. But there is a move underway to crack down on violators. News 3's Bill Clausius tells us more.
You may not think you're a victim, but you're losing an estimated $418 a year because of shoplifting. Merchants have been dealing with shoplifters and bad check writers for many years, but lately they've seen an increase in occurrences.
With a company like ours, 2% of our sales, we have 2% missing. Merchandise is missing all the time.
Zulte gets 2 to 3 bad checks every week. He's been in business for more than 30 years, and he says he can't get the district attorney's office to prosecute these retail theft cases. But now a coalition of state trade groups are trying to get some action.
Shoplifting in Wisconsin alone runs in excess of $1 million a day. Bad checks is about 10 to 15% of that. The total of the two runs in excess of $400 million a year that is lost.
The coalition's proposal would allow retailers to file a lawsuit against the shoplifter or bad check writer and get restitution, attorney's fees, interest, and a penalty. For the retailer, that means some short-term relief for a continuing problem. Bill Clausius, News 3.
Gary Dotson was sent back to prison today, one day after a judge in Illinois refused to believe the testimony of a woman who said she falsely accused Dotson of rape 7 years ago. Frank Courier reports on today's events.
With hopes of freedom lost for now, a despondent Gary Dotson returned to prison today for the rape of a woman who still insists it never happened.
That man's life was hanging on the line yesterday, and justice failed him.
But justice did not believe Kathleen Webb, who says she'd falsely accused Dotson of rape in 1977 to conceal a feared pregnancy after a teenage affair. A guilty conscience, a born-again faith in God, she said, made her come forward in a case where emotions falsely raised expectations.
Didn't do it. He just didn't do it, and they're gonna kill him. I know they will. It'll kill him.
But conflicting testimony by Dotson and others over his whereabouts the night of the crime, over Webb's original and convincing story of rape, led Judge Richard Samuels to uphold the 1979 verdict. I really don't know, the judge said, for what unfathomable reason Kathy recanted. While Dotson's attorney says he may appeal, the family is asking the Illinois governor to grant clemency, though that seems unlikely. Historically, recanted testimony rarely leads to reversal of a jury's verdict, but many legal experts think this case was extraordinary.
It seems unconscionable to keep somebody in prison when the sole witness against him says, I was lying.
Reaction was quick in Dotson's neighborhood, where yellow ribbons are bittersweet reminders of his homecoming a week ago while out on bond.
I think that the judge just let him out for that week just to tease him.
People are going to keep working. We are not going to let this thing rest. It is not going to die down.
While his family grieves, Dotson this afternoon vowed to continue his fight for freedom.
We're working on it, that's all we can do.
From behind the walls at Joliet, Frank Courier, CBS News, Chicago.
State officials say they can't recall a case like Dotson's ever happening here in Wisconsin, but if it did, state law requires a new trial in cases where newly discovered evidence comes to light. John?
A mall bookstore employee arrested today for striking a protester. The protester was among 200 others, some of whom ripped up magazines in the bookstore on State Street. The demonstrators began their afternoon in front of the First Wisconsin Plaza, speaking against corporate investments in South Africa. Jewel food stores in Illinois may be slapped with a $100,000 fine for dumping contaminated milk down storm sewers. The EPA is seeking that fine. Meantime, 6 people now confirmed dead as a result of salmonella poisoning, the latest a 44-year-old Rockford man.
And still to come on News 3, if you run a car company, you're paid very well.
And we'll have a story about a proposed law that would give unmarried couples more rights.
No city in the nation has such a law, so Madison could become the first.
A task force is recommending a law be passed so that gay and straight unmarried couples be allowed the same rights as other families. Here's a story from News 3's Joel Despain.
Mitch Spildy and Jan Lindquist have been living together for 2 years. They're the type of couple that could benefit from an alternative family ordinance.
For couples that aren't married and only one person is working, I'm sure things like insurance and that would benefit them.
Insurance is just one area proponents say could be affected by the proposal. Alternative families could also join organizations like health clubs at family rates. They could qualify for family health care. Task force members say there would also be a great psychological boost. To qualify, interested parties need only to register and pay a fee at the clerk's office.
What we're saying is that we would provide some public recognition of those families and allow them to have the same kind of benefits that are currently available to the traditionally married couple and their children.
And I think the history of society has been that where the structured family is weakened, the whole cultural level of the society goes downhill.
Pritchard says he's all for equal rights, but feels there are other answers. The recommendations will be subject to much scrutiny and review before they stand a chance of even being a proposed ordinance, which means people like Spildy and Lindquist have quite a wait if any benefits are ever to come to their alternative family. Joel Despain, News 3.
500 talented disabled Dane County residents still have a place to sell their handmade goods thanks to Easter seals. The organization is taking over management of the Handicraft Corner at the end of June. United Cerebral Palsy couldn't turn a profit, so it is leaving, and the state doesn't want to subsidize the shop anymore. Easter Seals will try to turn things around. Disabled people make things like rugs at home, then sell them on consignment. A high school senior who sued his school over what he considered to be excessive discipline has agreed to drop his suit in exchange for being allowed to graduate with his class. 18-year-old Igmar Nelson was suspended from West High in February after a physical confrontation with a teacher. The suit was to be heard in court today, but the district and Nelson struck a deal beforehand.
The State Department of Veterans Affairs says the new interest rate on its home mortgage program will be 10.6%. Money will be available in the middle of next month, and there's more than $56 million available. The weekend plans to be real dreary for 300,000 Wisconsin residents who haven't done their taxes yet. You've got till Monday. In case you're stuck, the IRS will have its experts available. Call them at 1-800-424-1040. The IRS number is open from 1 to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. The president didn't wait until the last minute.
No, he didn't, John. The White House today disclosed the figures from the Reagan's tax statement. The president and Mrs. Reagan made $440,000 last year. They paid some $147,000 in taxes and are getting a refund of over $14,500. Now, if you think that's a lot of money, and if you really want a complicated tax form to fill out, you have to become a president of a car company. America's big 3 automakers today announced some whopping bonuses for their top executive. General Motors Chairman Roger Smith received $1.8 million in pay and bonuses. Retired Ford Chairman Philip Caldwell got $1.6 million, and Lee Iacocca got $1.2 million for his efforts on behalf of Chrysler. I wonder what their tax refunds were.
A couple of rolls of nickels.
At least.
Still to come on News 3 tonight, a remarkable way to track down stolen cars.
And then it's almost like clockwork, isn't it? And Garn says it's even better than getting elected. We'll be right back. A 21-year-old Stoughton woman was lucky tonight. Just after 9, her car traveling south on County BN slipped off the highway into a drainage ditch. For a while, she was trapped in the vehicle, which had flipped over, but someone happened to see the reflection of her license plates, and somehow they managed to shovel the dirt away from the driver's door so she could get out. There was little water in the drainage ditch, and the woman seems to be okay. Authorities have not released her name. She was taken to Stoughton Hospital to be checked out.
The latest mission of the Space Shuttle Discovery is going like clockwork. The crew successfully launched a Canadian satellite tonight. And this morning, just under the wire, 55 seconds away from a deadline that would have put the launch off till tomorrow, the shuttle blasted off.
We have SRB ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of mission 51D and the 7-member crew of Discovery. And the shuttle has cleared the tower.
Houston controlling now.
Roger, roll, Discovery.
At 90.
Senator Jake Garn is aboard the shuttle, and he reports the launch was the greatest thrill of his life. Meanwhile, the nation's fourth and final version of the shuttle, named Atlantis, left California today for Cape Canaveral, but on a different mode. The $1.12 billion shuttle is scheduled to make its maiden flight into outer space in September.
In the same vein, John, interested in technology and the shape of things to come? Well, the place to be this weekend is the University College of Engineering. It is time for Expo 85, a joint venture by students and faculty as well as major corporations. Both set up exhibits ranging from robots, lasers, to automated shuttle systems. Over 100 exhibits are on display, and the expo is open tomorrow and Sunday.
Any meteorologists over there?
Could be.
That's a science in itself, isn't it?
I would say so.
That'd be a good thing to go and see. It's going to rain this weekend.
I think so, yeah. So definitely some more thunderstorms in the picture. The good news is, though, the severe thunderstorm watch for our western viewers has been dropped. Now, statistics on this date, our normal high would be 56 with a normal low of 33. Our high today went all the way up to 76 degrees, so that's well above normal. Next few days, we look for that to continue. Temperatures again tomorrow nearing the 70-degree mark. Now, if we look at highs today across our region, you can see to the south of this dark black line, temperatures mainly into the 70s and even into the 80s in some portions, and then to the north, much cooler, temperatures just in the 40s and 50s to the north of this particular line. So what's happened is we've had all this warm, moist air to the south, this very cool air to the north. We've had kind of a lot of instability forming because of that, and that's where our thunderstorms formed this evening, generally along this line. So most of the storms were to the north of our region into Polk, Pierce, and St. Croix County. Now tomorrow, some of those thunderstorms could fire up again. As far as the satellite goes for right now, you can see quite a bit of cloudiness across our state. We do expect scattered thunder showers this evening. We could probably have some heavy rains, but we don't really look for any more severe weather tonight in Wisconsin. Also clouds stretching back into Iowa. Thunderstorms are mainly on the decrease right now as far as intensity. Take a look at this cloud shape down around Texas. It's shaped kind of like a dagger, and that's really pretty apt because they did have quite severe weather down in that area tonight. Several tornadoes touched down. Thankfully, no reports of any kind of damage. Current map shows you that frontal systems at this time, warm front stretching to the north of our area in Wisconsin. And so that's why we've got all this warm air. Here at 10 o'clock, we still have temperatures in the 60s in southern Wisconsin. Cold air off to the west of that. So again, tomorrow, we look for those thunderstorms to redevelop probably a little farther into our picture. So here in the Madison area, we might see a few thunderstorms tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, thunderstorms from most of the state, also invading farther east over into Michigan and farther south down into Illinois. Then on Sunday morning, we look to see a few lingering showers and thunder showers early in the morning, then some partial clearing by the afternoon. Temperature